I wanted to understand, why do men do what they do? So here's what I did. I went and worked on Wall Street in the most masculine environment ever. I worked around men who make $1 million an hour. I wanted to know, what is it that differentiates a black man and a white man? I wanted to know this stuff. Are you creative visionary? I am Tammy Buthelezi, Chief Visionary Officer at Future Gen Leaders and the founder of the Future Gen Leaders Foundation. And I am continuing on our topic of domestic abuse, domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and all that stuff, I think people ask me sometimes, how have you healed? I have had a lot of people ask me, how have you healed from your story? Because it sounds so traumatic. Some guy raping you for 5 days and beating you for 5 days and all of that stuff. It sounds traumatic. I don't know how I would have gone through that. I mean, what choice do you have? What choice do you have? Do you just fall apart and just not live? Or do you kind of like take up your cross? I say to people, take up your cross and walk. Whatever has harmed you, whatever has tried to break you is just a catalyst for you to go to the next level of greatness. Yeah, you've got to do the healing work. You have got to do the healing work. So in the previous video, I was talking about how we victimize women who have lived through abuse and have the courage to speak up. In this video, I want to talk about why women don't actually leave. For me, I grew up in a very abusive home. 17 years of that was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. My dad was like abusive from, I think, the age of 5. So I lived with that stuff for 12 years. He was really abusive. Actually, let me talk about this. I wrote a book on this. I really did. I wrote a book. You can get my book on Amazon. But before we talk about why women don't leave, I want to talk about the 4 seasons of a man's life adventure. And this is chapter 8. And, when I left home, I realized that I wanted to find out. Firstly, I wanted to heal from that, because I knew that it was eating me up alive, and I was angry. I was very, very, very angry, right? So you leave home as a young woman and you then find yourself in an abusive relationship with a black man, Zulu man. And I said to myself, I will never date black men again. After that experience, I never dated black men again. I never did. I was like, no, black men, no. Then I dated a white guy. I dated this British guy. He was hot as hell. He looked like Sting. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, and he drove an M3. He was a sociopath, just the same like the black man. He was no different. The only thing he didn't beat. Black men beat, right? This guy didn't beat. This guy used, he's in America, it's called narcissistic tendency. He is a narcissist, but he was a sociopathic narcissist. He was a sociopathic narcissist. So sociopathic narcissists, I think, are worse than people who beat you. I don't know. I've had the beating, and then I've had the mental, kind of crazy. Like when somebody fucks with your brain, they fuck with your mind. That is worse than somebody beating you. I think when somebody beats you, you can get new teeth. These are veneers, okay? I paid a lot of money for these teeth. I think you can get new teeth, but when somebody messes with your mind, that's another level of crazy that you need a lot of therapy after that. You need a lot of therapy. But then after those experiences, so I had 3 experiences with really toxic men. My father, who taught me that as a woman, I'm worthless and men should beat me, right? This is a Zulu man. I'm not saying all Zulu men are like this, but I have found in my experience, men in South Africa, actually not even men in South Africa, black men, I have compassion for the soul of a black man. I truly have compassion for the soul of a black man. And I think that's why I wrote my book, because I wanted to understand, why do men do what they do? So here's what I did. I went and worked on Wall Street in the most masculine environment ever. I worked around men who make $1 million an hour. I wanted to know, what is it that differentiates a black man and a white man? I wanted to know this stuff. I wanted to know. I said, no. What is it? Is it that black men don't have money and that's why they beat their wives? Is it white men have money so they don't beat their wives? What is it? Money? What is it that makes men go psychotic? So I wanted to understand the mind of a man. And then after that, I started then doing the domestic violence and the domestic abuse and the narcissistic research on men, and I published it out here. But in chapter 8, I talk about the 4 seasons of a man's life adventure. And I start off this chapter with Warren Buffett's quote. And he says, the big question about how people behave is whether they've got an inner scorecard or an outer scorecard. It helps if you can be satisfied with an inner scorecard. So most men I have found, and most men that I've worked with, and I've coached CEOs who make $10 million a year, CEOs who run $100 million companies. I've worked with men who make $80,000 a year. I've worked with men who are doctors, who are plumbers, who are investment bankers. I've worked with men on all spectrums, right? Mainly in their psychology, mainly in their success psychology and getting to the next level of success. And I have found that there are 4 stages of a man's life adventure, right? So the first, I'm telling you, there's 4 stages of a man's life adventure. So number 1, we have the night stage. The night stage is between the ages of 17 and 29. I find that this is when a man is usually indoctrinated into and is usually perfecting his personality. Really, he's truly perfecting his personality. If a man does not change his habits, so if a man saw his father abuse his mother during the ages of 1 to 12, 1 to 16, right? During that stage, that's like the infant stage, right? That's when like your personality is being formed, your kind of who you are is being formed as a man. If you saw your parents beating your mother, your father beating your mother, or your mother beating, because in America, I've seen women who beat men, right? Even in Africa, I've seen it too. But if you saw the abuse, and abuse was your common denominator at home, between the ages of 1 to 12, 1 to 16, and between the ages of 17 and 29, you do not correct the pain that lives in your psyche from childhood, the likelihood of you being an abuser, right, in your prince stage, which is the stages between 30 and 45. So there's the night stage, there's the prince stage. So if you don't correct the hurt, the pain, and the images that live in your psyche from seeing your dad beat your mother during that stage, you're going to come into the prince stage, which is the stages of 30 to 45, right? During that stage, that's when men start getting married. That's when men start settling in their careers. That's when men start defining who they are, right? If you haven't healed your childhood trauma, I am telling you, during this stage, that's when you're going to start beating your wife.